here's what I want to say to you. This is a channel that is dedicated to me mentoring younger men who are worried that they might be losing their hair, or that they will at least be losing it early in life. And here's just something I want to share with you psychologically that I think kind of helps put this in perspective. Because to consider, what is normal? Balding. If you're a male, it's normal to lose your hair. In fact, the older you get, the more hair you have, the weirder it is. When you see a man in his 60s and he's got a full head of hair, it's actually kind of strange to see that, because it's not quite, if he's got a perfect head of hair at age 60, that's kind of weird. That's not, because it's so normal for a man to lose his hair, especially as he gets older. So why is it such a problem to lose your hair if it's so common? And here's my answer. I think really it comes down to this. Because there are some men who never lose their hair, or don't lose it until much later in life. There are some men who don't really start showing noticeable hair loss until their 40s, 50s, or 60s. But then some even keep it on. So for the fact that it's not like a universal thing. Yes, most men lose a decent amount of hair throughout life, but not every man goes bald. And I think that's the frustrating thing about it. And to make it even worse, some men lose all their hair on top before they even turn 25. Some do. So it's not universal in that way. So here's what I want to propose to you. Imagine what it would be like if all men carried the balding gene, but in a very predictable way. And that would be that whatever age you were, that was your Norwood. So yes, I am saying that age 10, you'd technically be a Norwood 1. You'd have the first signs of your temples starting to go back. And by the time you're 15, we'd say you're a Norwood 1.5, meaning that they'd gone back that much further. Which, by the way, if you've seen the video of me at age 17 when I got the perm, you'll notice that actually my temples had went back a ways by the time I was 17. Moving on, now your 20th birthday, guess what? You're a Norwood 2. You no longer have a straight across hairline, it's now a V shape. And then by 25, you have a hairline similar to mine, where it's still kind of pointed here, but it's rounded off up here, and you have to have your hair about 3 inches on top for it not to be obvious. Then by your 30th birthday, you've got the Tom Hanks Peninsula. By your 40th birthday, here's what happens for all men on their 40th birthday. They get the little detached island here, and they got the bald spot in the back. And then you turn 50, you pretty much don't really have any hair on top. You pretty much have lost most of that. And then by the time you're in your 60s, then we're talking about horseshoe, and by your 70s, you just pretty much got just right around your ears, and that's about it. So imagine if every man could expect that to happen, and it was a universal experience, so that in theory, if you were a 50-year-old man and you still had hair, you'd be weird, because it would be that predictable that you lose your hair. My question is, or my theory is, part of the reason hair loss bothers so many young men is because they don't know how that's going to be for them. Will you be the guy who loses all your hair on top by 25? Or will you be the guy who's in his 60s and maybe he's only Norwood 2? It's not consistent among men. But what if it were? Would that make it easier, knowing that the same fate would happen to us all at the same time? Would that make it better? Would it make it easier to deal with? Because then, in theory, there'd be no competition, or there'd be no intimidation, because you knew that every man that was the same age, you could look at his hair and know exactly he's in the same boat as me. And if that guy has an older looking face but has a full head of hair, then that's not his real hair. I think that would actually psychologically relieve a lot of people to know that at least here's what I'm up against. I wonder if anybody agrees with me on that. Do you? Don't you? Tell me. Comments.